What's up, geometry? Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to be looking in our lesson 7.5 properties of rhombi and squares, so we'll be able to figure out how can we recognize and apply those properties to determine is this a rhombus or is this a square, and then determine which parallelograms can be classified as each one. Let's go ahead and decide the differences though between each one. So we're going to draw a picture first, maybe not exactly perfect, but along the lines there. I'm going to go ahead and show some markings on here as well so we know exactly what to look for when we're seeing the differences in rhombi and squares. So you think about the square as being like the middle section of a Venn diagram between a rhombus and a rectangle. A rhombus has 4 matching sides and a rectangle has 4 matching angles, and a square is going to have both of those things. Okay, so the definition for a rhombus just states a parallelogram with all 4 congruent sides, and a square is a parallelogram with all 4 congruent sides and congruent angles. Okay, so that means all angles have to be 90 degrees, obviously. The next thing we're going to do is classify the properties of a rhombus to begin with. So opposite sides are going to be parallel and congruent. All 4 sides are going to be congruent. Opposite angles are going to be congruent. Consecutive angles will still be supplementary. And the diagonals will bisect each other. The diagonals are no longer going to be congruent here. They are perpendicular. And the diagonals will actually bisect the opposite angles. So a few new things to add on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is take all this information, apply it to some missing sides and angles of some rhombuses, or rhombi. For example 1, we're going to look at if JK is 12 and JN is 7. Okay, how can I figure out all the missing pieces? Well, I know a rhombus has 4 matching sides, so if JK is 12, then that means JM would also be 12. And then JL is the diagonal, so we'll talk about that in a second. MN, and then MK. Okay, so now let's talk about JL. So JL is this longer piece here, and what I might recommend first is thinking about diagonals are bisecting each other. So that means if this JN is 7, that means NL would also be 7. So 7 and 7 would make 14. Okay, MN though, we don't know if that's 7. What I do know is JM is 12. So if you think about JNM as a triangle and perpendicular diagonals, that means I have a 90 degree. So this means I can use my Pythagorean theorem of a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Or 12. There we go. Okay. A squared plus 49 is equal to 144. And again, I'm using J, N, and M, and I'm trying to find MN. So a squared plus 49 is equal to 144, or subtracting that, I'm going to get a squared is equal to 95. So you can say MN is the square root of 95, or if you want to round that to about 9.7. Then you would think about, okay, well then what could MK be? So if you're looking at your square root, so the square root of 95 is about 9.7. MK is that entire distance. So if this is 9.7, that means NK would be 9.7. So I'm just going to do 9.7 times 2. And I'm going to get it about 19.5. Okay, so that would be kind of how you do that there. So thinking about Pythagorean theorem here, because we've got those right angles. Let's go ahead and see what we can do for example 2. Rhombus is still a parallelogram, so you might want to think about alternate interior, alternate exterior angles here, but also my diagonals are going to be bisecting angles. So if I look at example here, I've given 38 degrees. 38 and 3 have to be the same because that diagonal is bisecting it, which means angle 4 and 5 are also going to be 38 degrees because opposite angles are congruent. You could also even think about these as alternate interior angles. 38 is alternate interior to the given 38, okay? Other things that could be 38 we're not exactly sure of, but I do know that 38 and 38 put together is going to be 76, and so I know 2 consecutive angles have to be equal to 180. So I would take 180 minus 76, and that's going to give me 104. So that means angle 6 and angle 7 have to add together to be 104. So I'm just going to split 104 in half, and that's going to give me 52. So angle 6 is 52, and so is angle 7, which means angle 1 and angle 2 are also going to be 52 because we can say alternate interior angles or opposite angles have to be congruent. The last one is angle 8, and if you think about angle 8 as being the top missing angle of a triangle, I have 38 in this corner with angle 5 and 52 in this corner with angle 6. So 52 and 38 put together is 90, and then just subtracting that from 180, I'm going to get 90 as well. So 180 minus 52 minus 38 is 90, or you can go back up here and think about your diagonals are going to be perpendicular. So that means the angle that the diagonals are making is a 90 degrees. So that means 8 would be 90 degrees. Let's see what we can find out here on our own. If you want to go ahead and take the time now to pause and try question 3 and 4, go ahead and try it, and then we'll see what we come up with here in a moment. All right, if the figures are rhombus, find x. So I have 5x plus 16 is equal to 9x minus 32. Those are going to be equal because all sides of a rhombus are the same. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides, add 32 to both sides, and I'm going to get 4x here and 48 there, so x has to be equal to 12. And then for this one, remember my diagonals bisect angles, so 13x minus 16 will be the same as 9x plus 4. Subtracting 9x from both sides, adding 16 to both sides, I am left with 4x is equal to 10, to 20, yep, add 16, add 16. So that means x is equal to 5, okay? Next part is properties of a square. So this is when you're going to still have repeating things of a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. All 4 sides are congruent. Opposite angles are going to be congruent, and all 4 angles are going to be 90 degrees. Your consecutive angles will still be supplementary. And then an added piece here. Diagonals will still bisect each other. Diagonals are also going to be congruent and perpendicular. And to cover the basis of a rhombus, diagonals will also bisect angles, okay? So with a square, you have properties of a rectangle with that diagonals being congruent, but also the properties of a rhombus. Diagonals are being perpendicular, okay? We're going to try these last 2 examples and then be done. If you want to pause the video and try it on your own, feel free, but if you're ready to try it with me, let's go ahead and start. PQRS is a square and TR is 17, so let's go ahead and find some missing pieces. PR is that entire length of the diagonal, so that'd be 17 times 2, which is 34. QS is also a diagonal, and that's going to match PR, so that's also going to be 34. The one thing we don't know is QT, but I do know that these two sides are 17. So what I can think about is matching those, because diagonals are going to be equal to one another. So QT is 17. But then PQ is that missing piece, or that missing hypotenuse. So I can take 17 squared plus 17 squared and make that my equaling C squared, or 289 plus 289 is equal to C squared. So 289 added together is going to be 578, and I don't think this is a perfect square, so we'll see what kind of decimal we get here. I'm getting about 24.04 for PQ, so we can say 24.04. Okay, and then the measurement of PRS is going to be this little angle here. Remember, all angles are 90, and bisecting, we're getting diagonals bisecting, so PRS is going to be 45, which is half of 90. STR is going to be exactly 90 because my diagonal is going to be perpendicular. PSR is also 90 because that's my full angle right here. And then QPR is here. You can say that's alternate interior from my original one, or half of 90, which would be 45. Okay? If FGHI is a square, find the letter X. I know that this is pointing to this little angle, and that's going to be a 45-degree angle, so 7x plus 3 is equal to 45. Subtract that 3, we're going to get 42 is equal to 7x, so that means x has to be equal to 6, for example 6. That's all for today. Thanks so much for tuning in for our example of rhombus and squares. Our next video for 7.5 part 2 is going to be what can I do when I'm given some coordinate points on a coordinate grid. Hope this helps, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.